All right, so it's gonna be a review of Shelby Oaks. I believe it originally came out last year in like a festival or something, but it's just now coming out. It just came out this weekend, this year in the theaters. It's directed by Chris Duckman, who is a YouTuber, and he's actually a YouTuber that I used to watch a lot. He used to be, I guess he's not anymore. He used to be a movie reviewer. He's actually one of the movie reviewers that got me into reviewing movies in the first place years ago. So it's surreal and cool to be reviewing a movie made by him, all these years later. I haven't watched this stuff in a long time. This would be even cooler if I could actually praise this movie and if it was good. I don't think it is. So back in 2008, a group of four friends, the main one we focus on here being Riley, played by Sarah Dern. They have a YouTube channel, Paranormal Paranoids, I think was what it was called, which is a terrible name, but I guess it works for this, where they go on these paranormal investigations. And so, for one of their investigations, they go to Shelby Oaks and they go around to the different areas of Shelby Oaks, which is completely abandoned and overgrown, and so it's like a perfect place for them to do this kind of paranormal investigation, and they end up going missing. Right? Nobody knows what happened to them. And some people are in their comments be like, "Oh, this is fake or whatever," but then they never turn up. So then it's like, okay, this must be real. So years later, Mia, played by Camille Sullivan, Riley's sister, after all these years, really focused on trying to figure out what happened and things like that. She's part of this documentary that's showing different footage of their YouTube channel and things like that. She's trying to really um, tell people how her sister actually was and things like that. And somebody shows up to her door, and she ends up getting more information as to what happened to those four. And so she uses that and starts talking to people and goes down to Shelby Oaks herself to try to find out what happened and potentially find her sister. So, like I said, I didn't like this, but um, I do think it started off really strong. Like I was interested. It's got some uh, good setup and mystery to it, right? I like the way they've done the this documentary style where the sister is talking about Riley and showing different video of them together when they were kids and things like that. And you hear from the police and they're giving information, and it's interesting. You really want to know what happened, and so you're automatically engaged to be like, okay, where is this going from here? Especially when this person shows up to her door, and the thing that happens with that, you're like, oh shit, what more is going to happen? And so I do think it sets things up well, and uh, I think it is legitimately scary at points. Right? Like there's points where you'll hear a sound or you'll see something in the distance, and it will make you jump. There's even this old lady in this that she comes across that Mia comes across when she goes to Shelby Oaks, and that lady gives the best performance in this movie and is easily the creepiest thing in this movie. Seeing things off in the distance, this shadowy figure, whatever. There's dogs in this and things like that. Um, the lady was the creepiest and scariest thing in this because being in a cabin alone with this lady would legitimately terrify me, even if nothing is happening, no supernatural thing. Just the way that she's talking and her face is shadowed out at times when she's like across the room, and there's a point where she goes down into this lower area in the cabin, and Mia looks through to see her, and she's just standing there looking at her. I was like, "Man, that is creepy as fuck." Like, if I was in that situation, I would be scared enough by this lady to be like, "You know what? I'm out of here." That being said, pretty much everything else doesn't work about this. Like, as interested as I was when it starts off with the documentary and stuff like that, I mean, that stuff was so good and so engaging as for the setup that I was like, you know what? Maybe this is gonna be a running thing throughout the movie that's gonna be like documentary style, and then it's gonna cut to present day where certain things are happening or something like that. Or maybe the whole movie it would be documentary style in a really creative way. Just telling the events of what happened with like found footage and things like that. But unfortunately it wasn't. And then after that ends, you realize just how bland of a character Mia is, and that the actress playing her just isn't all that great. And then also she has this guy that she's with and it was just off their interactions with each other. Like they were just off. Like their acting wasn't all that great. The writing wasn't all that great. There was no chemistry with them, even with everything going on, and maybe it strained their relationship. You still didn't really get that, but that guy's barely in this. It's mainly this character Mia. She's our main character that's we're following to figure these things out and investigate and potentially find our sister. We should be invested in that, and I wasn't. I found the character bland, and to go along with that, when she would go on these investigations or whatever, like there's this point where she goes to this abandoned prison, and we get you know we get this long scene of her just walking around the prison with a flashlight, and she's trying to get to a specific cell because of things that she found out. And I was like, man, this movie is dragging to the point where I was like falling asleep. And then when she finally finds out whatever it is, I'm like, okay, all right. And then I'm starting to kind of doze off a little bit. And then a sound happened and I jumped. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm awake. I'm awake. Uh, and then, there's a dog there and she runs away from the dog. The dog's gone. I was like, and then she's walking around the woods with a flashlight. And she's like, okay, the movie drags. It doesn't do enough to keep you engaged. You're not engaged in her as a character. You're not engaged in what she's doing. It's very slow. And I'll be honest, it was boring me. The story of this movie is just it's not well developed. It's not explained. It's like you set up things, you throw things in, right? But you don't really bring it all together as a whole, and you damn sure don't pay it off, right? It's like there's a dog, and then there's multiple dogs, and like the dog, she runs away from the dog, and the dog's not there. It's like, okay, is the dog real? Okay, well, no, there's three dogs, and they are most definitely real at the end. It's like, okay, there's an old lady. The old lady was creepy, but like the whole thing with the old lady and the connections between like the sister that went missing and the guy that showed up to her door and things like that. There's a baby involved. It's like, what? What is this? When you wrote this movie, did you just write the setup? And it's like at that point, it's like, okay, she's gonna walk around to different places and she's gonna see things in the distance, or things will pop up, or you'll hear a sound or whatever, and it'll be scary, and then we'll end it with a baby, and that's it. That like legit, like at the end, me and everybody else in the theater were just sitting there because we felt like the credits coming up, the end credits coming up was a fake out because it didn't feel like the movie had ended. It didn't feel like a complete movie. We need an ending explained video from you, Chris Duckman. I will be waiting on that. But as of right now, like for the things that worked, for the things that legitimately worked, I thought it was legitimately tense at times and scary at times. It did make me jump at times. For the things that did work, and it was interesting, and I guess, it's an attempt. I'll give you a rental. I'll give it a rental. I'll give it a rental. It doesn't work. I saw maybe there's two separate versions. A version that was at the festival last year that where it first premiered, and the one that's in theaters now. Maybe that's true. I don't know, but this does not work, man. This doesn't work, man. I didn't like this, dude. I really didn't like this. But anyway, I'll give it a rental. That's Shelby Oaks. It didn't work, unfortunately. So yeah, subscribe, and we're done.